Blazing guns, artillery raining fire from the skies, drones hovering like predators, civilians running for cover. This is what the Russia-Ukraine war looks like today. With US aid halted and European support growing hesitant, Russia has seized the moment, intensifying its attacks and gaining massive ground. On the night of July 5th, Russia launched its largest aerial assault on Kyiv, an 8-hour-long bombardment that shook the capital. But it wasn't always like this. When the war began, Putin expected a swift victory, a so-called military operation to take Kyiv in days and install a pro-Russian regime. Instead, Ukraine stunned the world, halting Russia's advance and forcing a retreat from the capital operations. So what changed? To understand why Russia is gaining now and Ukraine may be heading towards a defeat, we must look at three key factors. Change of hands. When the war began, Joe Biden was President of the United States, widely seen as a firm defender of Ukraine's sovereignty.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
Under Biden's leadership, the US poured over $55.7 billion in security and $175 billion in economic support into Ukraine since February 2022. But Biden's cautious strategy and his declining health often held him back from making bold decisions. He armed Ukraine with Javelin missiles, HIMARS and Patriot systems, but prohibited Ukraine and Kyiv from using them to strike deep into Russian territory. His health and mental clarity became an international talking point, even causing an embarrassment on the NATO stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelenskyy.
Then came the US election 2024, and with it, a major shift. Donald Trump returned to power, flashing bold warnings for Ukraine. On the campaign trail, Trump vowed to end the Russia-Ukraine war within 24 hours. He repeatedly criticized US military aid, claiming it drained American strength and left borders unprotected.
Biden emptied out our whole country, giving them weapons.
And once elected, he followed through, halting aid to Ukraine entirely and leaving Kyiv isolated and giving Moscow a free pass to escalate and gain territory. In a true social post, Trump wrote, "This is a war that would never have started if I were president. This is Zelenskyy's, Putin's and Biden's war." Trump's team entered backchannel talks with Moscow, pushing a ceasefire plan that would require Ukraine to give up territory.
It is a disaster, and so I hope he's going to. I hope he's going to have a ceasefire. I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelenskyy, and I hope that Zelenskyy, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelenskyy. So far, it's been harder. A lot of pressure. You don't know what pressure I'm putting on Russia. They're dealing. You have no idea what pressure I'm putting on Russia. We're putting a lot of pressure.
Despite past US pledges of support for as long as it takes, Trump positioned America as a detached third party, with nothing to lose and nothing to gain from the outcome of this war. Second point is Russia's adaptation and external support. Russia's early failures, tumbling logistics, low morale, gave way to brutal new strategy. Moscow adapted, leaning on attritional warfare and foreign allies to outlast Ukraine. By July 2025, Russia captured key towns and regions in Ukraine. North Korea supplied artillery, Iran provided drones, and China offered economic lifelines, offsetting Western sanctions.
I was happy to welcome the commanders of the North Korean army, to send my best regards to the soldiers and special forces of the People's Republic of Korea, who were fulfilling the tasks along with our soldiers to liberate the Kursk region from the Kyiv regime.
Russia's manpower advantage, 450,000 new recruits in 2024 alone, overwhelmed Ukraine's depleted forces. Motorcycle assaults, relentless shelling turned the tide, at a horrific cost of nearly 1 million Russian casualties. But for Putin, victory is worth any pride. Ukraine's manpower and resource crisis. Ukraine's courage stopped Russia's blitz in 2022, but bravery alone can't win a war of attrition. By 2025, Ukraine's military is stretched thin, facing a dire shortage of troops and supplies. Videos started emerging, Ukrainians being forcefully recruited. Ukraine's forces, now at 5 lakh personnel, struggle to replace new losses. War fatigue has set in, with civilians and soldiers alike battered by constant Russian strikes on energy infrastructure and other important infrastructure. The US aid pause in 2025 left Ukraine without critical air defense mechanisms.
They see the dreams come true when they see the delays or some scandals, and they see freedom to fall when the support of freedom fighters go down.
Ukraine's innovative and new drone strikes like Operation Spider's Web in June 2025 caused 7 billion damage to Russian air bases. But without consistent Western support, these victories are fleeting. Russia's relentless pressure is breaking Ukraine's resolve. The US and NATO's wavering commitment has given Russia the edge. Biden's cautious support kept Ukraine alive, but not victorious. Trump's pivot to negotiations, halting aid and pushing for territorial concessions has left Ukraine exposed. Now, what's next? As Russia gains ground, the world watches a nation's survival hang in the balance. The July 5th aerial assault on Kyiv, Russia's largest threat, signals Putin's intent to crush Ukraine's spirit. With NATO divided and US support fading, Ukraine faces a dark future. The war's toll is staggering: 1 million casualties, cities reduced to rubble, and economies shattered. If the West doesn't act, Russia's full-scale victory may be inevitable.
Subscribe to Oneindia and never miss an update. Download the Oneindia app now.